Well, we can return to the UK and that spring statement because we're joined now by the Treasury Minister, James Murray.
Good evening.
It's great to have you here. A lot of MPs will be wrestling with their consciences today. The impact assessment published by the government says the changes to welfare could push 250,000 people into poverty, including 50,000 children. Are you personally comfortable with that?
I'm very comfortable with the fact that we are a government who is going to address some of the problems with the welfare system that we know are present. We know that the welfare system is broken. We knew that when we were elected. I think everyone across the political spectrum will agree that we can't carry on and just leave the welfare system as it is, and so we need to reform it. And
are you comfortable with pushing children into poverty?
Well, let me be clear about those figures that you mentioned, because they are essentially one side of the story. So that's
the direct... them? Why did you publish them in that case?
Because the positive impacts of our reforms in terms of getting people into work are ones that the OBR is going to score, and they said they will do that later in the year at the autumn budget and so on, because they have to get the right evidence to show what the impact will be in terms of getting people into work. But we know that getting people into work is the best route out of poverty, and that's why one of the key principles of the reforms that we're making to welfare is about getting people into work. It's about making sure there isn't an incentive to stay out of work, and where people can work and need support to get into work, that support is available.
I mean, I remember a time when the Labour Party was talking about eradicating child poverty. I remember in your manifesto when you said too many children's life chances are being scarred by rising poverty. I mean, what happened to that Labour Party?
Yeah, and no one can doubt the commitment of the Labour Party to tackling child poverty.
But you can doubt the commitment when you're reading your own impact assessment that says 50,000 children could be pushed into poverty by the changes you're bringing in.
Well, as I'm sure you know, there's a child poverty task force which the government has set up and is doing its work at the moment, and that's to focus on all of the different levers that we have to tackle child poverty. But as I said, in relation to those specific numbers, that shows one half of the story about the direct impact of some of the changes which are being made. But the other side, which the OBR will evaluate in due course, is about helping people into work. And that is the best route to get people out of poverty. And that's why these reforms that we're setting out are so important, about making sure that we don't write people off and say to people, you know, it's OK just not to work and be economically active for years, even when you can work and with the right support, you know, very much would work. And that's why we need to change the system.
The thing that I've been really focusing on today is the headroom, because the headroom at the budget was 9.93 billion, and after everything that's happened in the last 5 months, a lot, the headroom is exactly the same. So it feels a bit of a, well, not a coincidence. It feels almost as if that was the thing that you started with, trying to make sure the headroom matched up and the policy came after. I mean, who's setting policy here? Is it the Treasury or the OBR?
Well, what we started with was the Chancellor's fiscal rules, and as she made really clear when she set them out in the budget in October last year, those fiscal rules are non-negotiable. And the conclusion that everyone can take very clearly from what she set out today is that she really meant it, because we're going to stick to those fiscal rules to make sure that we provide that fiscal responsibility, that economic stability, because it's on the basis of that stability that we can increase investment, increase growth and make people better off, because that's the driving mission for us as a government.
Some people are questioning whether that focus on the fiscal rules, as you said, that it feels like that is the priority. It is right. The Joseph Rowntree Foundation, for example, said today, with living standards for the poorest under continuing assault, the government needs to protect people from harm with the same zeal as it attempts to build its reputation for fiscal competence. What would you say to that?
Well, I think I would be clear that, you know, fiscal responsibility has a cost. It means taking difficult decisions, but fiscal irresponsibility comes with a far greater cost. You know, we saw that a few years ago with Liz Truss. You know, we know that when you're fiscally irresponsible, when you lose control of the public finances, it is working people, it is people with the fewest resources, people with the least wealth, the least income, they're the ones who get hit hardest when the government loses control of the public finances. And that's why, for us, fiscal responsibility is so central to what we're doing as a government.
I mean, can we take from that will continue throughout this government? Because I guess the reason I'm asking is we saw how quickly the headroom was wiped out, and there will be an argument about whether that was the government's fault or whether that is global factors over which you have no control at all.
Or the OBR has pointed to wider factors.
Yeah, exactly. So those wider factors could easily happen again this year. So can you rule out tax rises in the next budget?
Well, look, I would never presume to write 4 budgets ahead the rest of this Parliament's worth of budgets.
You said that you'll stick to the fiscal rules, so we can take that as a given, right?
What I can tell you, absolutely, the Chancellor will stick to the fiscal rules. They are non-negotiable. They were when they were introduced. They are today. They will remain non-negotiable because they're the bedrock of the fiscal responsibility that underpins how we operate as a government.
I spoke to Mervyn King, the former governor at the Bank of England, a few weeks ago, and he was pretty clear. He said, I think we will have to raise the basic rate of income tax. He said that there's no harm in doing that, provided it's been used to finance what he described as a well-thought-through programme of spending reform. I mean, is this the situation that we are in now, that, tax rises are going to be the reality?
Well, no, the reality is that we want to grow the economy because we know that's the way to get into a better position.
Well, it's been halved. It's been halved this year.
Well, the figure in 2025 has been downgraded.
Oh, yeah, we really trust the ones that have...
But look at 2026 and every subsequent year in what the OBR published today.
You'll forgive me that I'm sceptical about future growth forecasts, right? We've seen the history on them.
Well,
they're continually being downgraded.
So the OBR usually takes some effort to show a positive impact of reforms, of changes to things like planning policy. What the OBR have recognised today is that the planning changes we're making are so profound, are of such a big scale, that they are saying, yes, actually, we accept that these changes you are making to the planning system, they're the real deal. Like, they really will increase the number of homes by 170,000. They will get up 1.3 million homes over the 5-year period, and they will increase GDP, increase the money which is coming into the public finances by over £3 billion. So the OBR, independent forecaster, who doesn't accept these things lightly, has said these planning reforms you're making are the real deal and they will boost economic growth. And that's what we need to do even more of as a government. So look at the money that we're putting into defence as well. That's obviously crucial for our national security, but it also helps with economic growth as well, because we can invest in British businesses and create more jobs here in the UK. So all of what we're pushing towards is making sure that people are better off, and that's on the back of economic growth.
OK, thank you very much indeed. Great to have you on the programme today.